I would sometimes go back there for the weekend, and my parents didn't freak out. So I think we're more safety conscious today than we've ever been. I think we've made recklessness the enemy, and I think we're fearful in ways we haven't been. And to your point, yeah, when it comes to hygiene, when it comes to health, when it comes to all the things that can hurt us, we're hyper aware of it. You can't turn on the TV and see an ad for an unpronounceable pharmaceutical product designed to tend to an ailment that we didn't even know existed 5 minutes ago, right? So we're just more aware, I think, than we've ever been of all the trouble in the world and all of the things that can hurt us and all of the bad things that can befall our loved ones. And so we have evolved. We're a more careful people.
And we have lots of vaccines now when you're a child.
I read something about that, yeah.
Measles. I mean, I got the measles, I got the mumps, I got all of these chicken pox and so forth, but now they got shots for all of these. Is that a good thing, or have we gone overboard with the vaccines?
Probably a bit out of my lane, but it does seem, from what I've heard, the schedule for vaccines today is 72, 73 are on the list. We're inoculating.
And early, I mean, several months after you're born, you start getting these shots, maybe even when you're born.
Well, look, so out of my lane, so don't quote me for God's sakes, but it does seem like those diseases have been around for as long as we've been around. And why would we be so focused today on, it's like we've waged a sort of war on risk, right? And risk, I would say to you, is maybe not the same thing as recklessness. Risk, to be reckless is to willfully embrace danger. To acknowledge risk is to simply live in the world. And to mitigate it, I think, is wise, right? Vocational safety is a very big deal. But I think maybe we've got it in our heads that we can eliminate it. And when we try and do that, when we try and get to zero danger, then we stop, well, of course we stop taking risks, but we also stop living. And that's kind of a drag.
So we have peanut allergies now. People have more allergies than they ever have before. Is that because they didn't get their hands dirty? They didn't play as children? I mean, who knows?
I don't know.
Hard. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I often hear that maybe that's the reason, but like you say, nobody really knows.
Yeah, you don't, I mean, what do they say? There's the knowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknown unknowns. And so what can you say about a whole flight of allergies that just seem to have appeared? I wouldn't suggest they don't exist. They've manifested. But what's caused them? Is it diet? Is it a lack of exercise? Is it something environmental? Is it something genetic? Beats me. I really have no idea, but I'm interested.
But you're okay.
No, I'm not okay.
You're not, okay.
No, I'm great, man. I mean, I'm older than I've ever been, and after 20 years of dirty jobs, certain things ache and whatnot. But it's funny, man. I haven't had a cold in decades.
Well,
and I think maybe
there's always a first.
I'm sure I'm going to leave this place with something.
Good God.
I don't know what, but obviously there is such a thing as natural immunity, and I've joked over the years with a lot of people I've worked with in sanitation. And they say the same thing. They don't get sick the way a lot of other people do.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me, and I want you to beat that story. You've got to improve. You got to say, I got a better story than what I'm about to tell you.
Like I can beat that? All right, good.
So I went on a survival camp.
I can beat that.
In the Uinta Mountains.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And it was a week-long camp, and there was about a dozen of us young people. We were in our teens. And Larry Dean Olson was the teacher. He had written a book on how to survive in